All right. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Angela and Nico from RevGen Consulting. We have a fun topic that we want to talk about today, and it's the future of private equity real estate investing. And the reason that we want to talk about this is that, we really feel that the way that people find out and invest in, the private equity deals right now versus what it's going to look like in the next 5, 10 years, it's going to be completely different. And that has a lot to do with what people are calling the great wealth transfer from the baby boomer parents to their kids, which majority of them happen to be millennials and some Gen Z. And the way that millennials shop and research, for investment opportunities versus, let's say, Gen X and baby boomer generation, it's completely different. I think it's day and night. And you're, basically hearing from two millennials. And we kind of want to share how we, buy products and what we do. I think that's going to redefine the way that the private equity firms will probably have to market to their future investors. And one disclaimer here is that we're not financial advisors, we're not CPAs. This is just a fun video of us talking about and making predictions about what the sales and marketing will have to look like in the future if you want to appeal to the millennials. So I guess I can just kind of start off by, I think, talking about millennials. I think I read somewhere that we're the generation that just refuses to pick up our phone, pick up our phone. Like if we get a call from an unknown number, like forget about it. Like I am not about to pick up that phone. I think even with friends, we make plans to talk on the phone. It's not a
Yeah,
random, hey, I'm gonna call you and this and that. It's like,
yeah.
all right, are you available at this time on this date? So I think knowing that, it's very different than I would say our parents' generation, the baby boomer generation, where they like to pick up the phone call and like talk to a live person. And I think they like to ask a lot of questions and they may not be as tech savvy, where I think millennials, Google was pretty much invented while we were, graduating from college for most of us, or we basically lived through all of that. And we like to search, we like to do our research and learn about, hey, what's this company about? Before I contact them, I'm going to be, doing my own research and find out, okay, is this right and all that. So by the time that I get on a call with them or email them, like I have some information. What do you think? Do you think it's accurate or is it just me? Am I the crazy one?
So I will pick up the phone for just about anyone. I'm in sales though, so it's a little
Mm,
different. But that being said, yeah, I think that some of the points that you touched on, right, is even when I'm buying something as mundane as just something for around the house or some sort of kitchen gadget or whatever, I'm going to do my research. I use a plugin on my browser that tells me if these are fake reviews or not to make sure that I'm getting like, hey, these are positive reviews or these are real positive reviews or etc. And so I think that's a good point and kind of plays into what Angela's saying is we're doing our research a little bit differently, right? We're not just taking someone's word for it. We want to do the research ourselves, not necessarily because we don't trust these people, but because we want to feel like we're putting in the work to actually like invest in something as simple as like I said, a kitchen gadget or something, an appliance or whatever, because we don't want to waste our money, right? So we as millennials and Gen Z, right, we're inheriting a less than ideal situation, right? The cost of living has ballooned, the minimum wage hasn't increased accordingly, right? I mean, it's impossible to live anywhere anymore without dealing with high prices at the pump, at the grocery store. And so when you buy something, you have to be a little bit more deliberate, and you have to be more considerate with your money, right? The ultra wealthy people who have multi-generational wealth that are you know private helicopters and whatever. I mean, that's different, right? That's a different type of wealth. We're talking about the everyday kind of millennial American who is um, trying to get a piece of the pie, right? This great uh, transfer of wealth is unfortunately going to happen when our parents pass away, right? So it's starting to happen. It's rare that you hear about the greatest generation, they're pretty much, their time is come and gone. And the boomers are starting to move into retirement homes. They're starting to retire, and a lot of them, did set up retirement, and they're living pretty comfortably, right? Some of them didn't, right? And so that's another thing that's holding it up, is some of them were comfortable enough to retire and they haven't moved to these retirement communities. Some of them are did not plan properly, and so they're still working, and so those jobs are being held up. The houses and all of that taken into account, millennials and Gen Z are fighting for their slice of the pie, and so when they try to buy a little bit of it, they're going to be very, very careful. And so that type of buying behavior, it translates very much into real estate, into private equity, into any sort of investing. I know that during COVID there were the meme stock era, and to the moon and all that kind of stuff, and that's great, right? People made their money, but a lot of people lost money, and so we're getting older, we're getting smarter, or at least we're getting more careful. Maybe not smarter, but we're getting older, we're getting smarter, we're getting more careful, and so that's going to translate very much into what the what how we invest, right? So Angela, similar to you, right? You like to do your research. You like to make sure, even if it's just a restaurant, you're going to check the Yelp, and you're going to cross-reference with the Google reviews, and you're going to look at maybe TripAdvisor, and you're going to look at all of these different places online to make sure that you're not going to buy the wrong $20 salad, right? You want to make sure that it's going to be a good salad. So no, it makes total sense that our generation is doing a lot more research. They're not just calling someone. They may not be working with a financial advisor. And so, yeah, but go ahead.
I think that's a really good point. So two things there. One is, I think the role of financial advisor, that's definitely going to be changed a little bit more as well. We grew up, I think well, I guess not necessarily grew up with it, but in recent years, robo advisors like Wealthfront and Fidelity, a lot of people use that. So they don't actually have to talk to a real person, right? It's a moderate risk and it's a very low fee. And it's very transparent. You know exactly where your money's going up and down, what they're investing in, and you control that. And I think, financial advisors will definitely have to, think about how they market themselves to the millennials and Gen Z. So that's something to think about. And the other point is the reviews. So I was thinking about, all right, how does that translate into the real estate and private equity space? And I think that's where direct marketing is really powerful, direct marketing and sales, because you control your database of investors and they can actually become your biggest brand ambassadors. Get the testimonials
Exactly.
from them, right? Like get their reviews, because it's one thing if you say, hey, I have the best opportunity, we have attractive returns and all that, versus your investors telling other, potential investors, like, you know what, this is fantastic. I did it and I'm very happy with my returns. I'm very happy with the service. I think that goes a long way because, like you said, I'll be looking at the reviews. I'm not going to be trusting what the hotel website says. I'm going to be reading about the customer experience and then believe their words over what the brand is telling me. So I think that's something to be aware of. And we talked about, kind of the gatekeeping that exists in this industry. And I think more and more millennials, we want transparency. We don't want this hidden network of, oh, a friend of a friend told me about it. And, as Nico mentioned in one of the early videos, like if you don't come from that world, or if your, network isn't necessarily, connected to private equity or, commercial real estate, then you wouldn't know,
Yeah.
and I think that it's time for us to just, be super transparent and make sure that everybody has the equal opportunity to invest. And you just, do your research. There's a lot of companies that, do crowdsourcing, crowdfunding. Maybe that's it for you. Maybe you don't want, things that are just hundred or $200,000 investment or whatnot. But again, the whole point is the way that we behave, the way that we make decisions, it's very different than, oh, my advisor told me that I should do it. And I trust that advisor completely. Like I'm not trusting anyone. We're not trusting one advisor who gets paid, by the way, to give, to recommend certain products. And I think for us, it's like, all right, well, we kind of want to do our own research. Like we want to be responsible for the choices that we make. So I don't know, it's just something to think about. And I've been watching a lot of financial TikTokers and YouTubers, and it's kind of funny because they're very much against working with an advisor, which I disagree with in a way, because I'm like, well, I think the financial advisors, the good ones, are still out there, and I
Yeah,
think they recommend what's best for you.
yeah,
But the whole thing is you still have to do your research. Make sure the fees you're paying are fair and that you're happy with it, that you're not surprised by it. So again, just do your research. And I think companies have to, market themselves differently. Don't just rely on your friends and family network. Figure out how you can reach, this huge pool of accredited investors. There's 24 million of them right now. And that's probably going to grow exponentially in the next 5, 10 years. So
yeah,
how you want to market yourself. And I think the best way to do is go direct to them.
yeah,
Find out where they're getting the news, right? And how they're
yeah.
getting.
Yeah, millennials make up the largest generation as far as the workforce. So you gotta go after them the way that they look at information, right? You can work with financial advisors. You're gonna get some people there, and so something that we tell our clients and we tell everyone is there's no silver bullet. You have to have a few. You have to have more than a few, really, and that's because if you go after just one and you're like, hey, this is it. This is the one thing that's going to make us a bunch of money, or this is the one way that we're going to get a bunch of investors. That isn't. There's no industry. There's no way to continue that indefinitely, right? You have to change. You have to adapt, and you have to learn. What your clients want and how they're getting in their information, and then target them, right. They'll come to you. They will. Millennials and Gen Z, they want to do this. They want to invest. They want to be part of this world, but you have to empower them. And I'm a firm believer in earning the right to sell someone, right, earning the right to their business, and the best way to do that is to educate. So having that kind of educational content, having that kind of view and kind of position when you speak to them and be like, hey, like this is the information. What questions do you have? How can I help, etc. That is going to make your life a lot easier. So
I love that. I absolutely love
awesome.
that. All
Well,
right. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Any questions? Any thing that you have on your mind? Feel free to reach out to us on our website. Shoot us an email. Give us a call. We're happy to chat and answer these questions. Thank you so much, and we'll talk with you soon.